And a lot of times we're bent to a place of negativity, right? I'll just give you an example. I feel lonely today. I feel lonely. And I can stay in this place of loneliness, of being negative, and that can just begin to fester in my mind. I'm lonely because nobody cares. I'm lonely because God has forgotten about me. And man, I can stay here days. I can stay here weeks. I can spend my whole life right here if I want to. But you see, if I want to get over there to God's good pleasure, God's delight, Psalm 37 verse 4, those who delight themselves in the Lord, God will grant them the desires of their heart. If I want to get there, the only way I'm going to get there is through constant communion. What does that look like? See, there's a little gap right here. And the gap between me and there is this thought that I'm going to turn this over to God. I'm going to I'm lonely. I feel terrible. Nobody loves me. I must have done something really bad, and that's why I feel so lonely, and I'm just a terrible person. But then I say, but wait a minute. I'm a child of God. Why am I thinking these thoughts? And I interrupt these thoughts, and I begin to say, Lord, I'm really honest with God, right? That's how we start a lot of times. God, I just feel terrible. God, I feel so alone. Lord, I gotta be honest, I feel like you've forgotten me, God. I feel like you don't care about me. You see, it's okay to start there. Because if you start there, that's not where you're going to end up. If you're open to the voice of God, if you're allowing God to speak to you. Because from there, what's going to happen is you're going to begin to read the Bible and see what God has to say. And you're going to realize that before Jesus ascended to heaven, he promised his disciples, I will not abandon you. I will not leave you as orphans. And you begin to read that and think of that and just say, wait a minute. God said he's not going to abandon me. He's not going to... But my mind is telling me that God has abandoned me. But he's telling me. So what I've got to do is I've got to seek God and tell God what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, what I'm going through. And I've got to be honest with God. And so my negativity can actually be leveraged to push me into the presence of God. And then as I pray and I seek, I say, wait, but God, you promised me, and I know that your promises are true. And so then we begin to press on a little bit further, and we remember that God said he'd never leave us, he'd never forsake me, that he's always going to be with me. And I'm in this place of constant communion. Maybe it's days, maybe it's weeks, but I'm continually seeking God. And as I seek God, and I'm taking what has been intended to harm me, and what has been intended to be negativity, and I'm turning it over to God, what it's allowing me to do is get to a place I could never get to before. You see, I can't jump from the negativity to this place of delighting in God without this constant communion, without this relationship, without this unity with God. But because I abide in him and in his presence, I'm able to step over into that place to know that, listen, I'm not alone. But I am loved by my Father. And God has a plan, he has a purpose, and he is using me to touch the lives of people. Let me use another illustration. Maybe you're back in this place of negativity. It's Tuesday morning. 7:49. Picked like a great time. And you're like, man, started a new week yesterday. Work went really bad. I feel like I've let my boss down. I feel like I let my family down. I feel like people are angry at me. And now you get to a place, and the enemy's tricky because, it's one thing to doubt God. And it's kind of hard to doubt God. But it's really easy to doubt ourselves. Anybody? God, I know that God, you're good. And I know, God, that you're going to provide. And I know, God, that you haven't abandoned me. But God, I've messed up. Lord, I'm the biggest problem here. It's not that I don't trust you, God. I don't trust me because I'm a wreck. I'm a mess. Lord, I failed everyone, and I just feel like absolute garbage, God. And I'm back in this place of negativity. But then again, the thought comes. And I said, man, I got to turn this thing over to God, don't I? And I remember what the Apostle Paul wrote. When he went to God and said, Lord, I've got this thorn, I've got this problem, I've got this thing that I can't resolve. And what did God tell to the Apostle Paul? My grace is sufficient for you. My grace is enough for you. You begin to think about that. I said, God, thank you for your grace. Yeah, I did mess up, and I failed a lot of people. And I'm not as good as I need to be, God. But I thank you that your grace is enough. Your grace covers me. Your grace is sufficient for me. And then you begin to reflect and remember the other words that the Apostle Paul penned almost immediately after, and God spoke to him and said, my power is made perfect in your weakness. And now you begin to look at the negativity. You begin to look at the failure. And you begin to say, wait a minute, that wasn't wasted. That wasn't without purpose. But God can use even my weakness. God can even use my mess. God can even use what is ugly about me and I don't like and I wish I could change. But because I've been in the presence of God, because I've prayed, because I've worshiped, because I've let go of that stuff and said, God, I don't understand it, but I'm coming to you with childlike confidence that says, God, I believe you've got me covered. You've told me your grace is sufficient, so I'm going to trust your grace. And I'm going to stop wasting hours and weeks and days and months of my life in negativity, but I'm going to start moving into the purpose that you have, and I'm going to cross over into delighting in your purpose, and I'm not going to be a prisoner to my mind, but I'm going to be free to live in your delight.